Okay.
Hey guys, we've had some questions about when should you take your knife to the strop, and carving with a knife that's just a little dull, or maybe more than a little dull, where you've really got to force it through the wood. And that's just a shop knife, but it's not real dull, but there's some dullness to it. And I really got to pull through here, and you see how it's just breaking that wood. But it's still, with the grain, looks like it's cutting fairly well. But across the grain, I've really got to pull, and you can see it's starting to leave marks in there. So it's really dull, and that's a sign right there that you're getting burrs on your knife. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, I can see like little white lines.
Yeah. And then I have a knife that's sharpened, which cuts right through that. This is across the grain, and I'm just barely pulling, and it's cutting right through there.
So hopefully everybody can see the difference between the two blades. One that's dulling and one that's sharp.
Of course, when you go with the grain on the end grain, it really just cuts right through the wood. This knife does not need to go to a strop. This one does. And why your blades break is because even though it looks like it's still cutting, and there is some white lines in there, it might be hard to see, but I've really got to pull that blade through the wood. And that's how you break them. Especially when you get down here on the end. And you really start popping that out there. So the more force you got to use, that should tell you that it's time to go to the strop. And we sell these strops right here. They look like this. There ain't nothing on the other side. And you can also buy the little white compound, which is, like I say, I rub it on half the strop, and it helps pull the little wood fibers out and peel them burrs off there. So you got to find your angle. So I'm pushing, and then I'm rocking the blade towards me. Now you don't want to come back this way with the cutting edge angled down. You'll cut into it, so you got to turn it over.
For more stropping videos, we have more videos here on Facebook and our YouTube channel on how to do stropping.
Now if you strop your blade and you notice that it did not cut through the wood any better, it's time to go to a stone or to sandpaper. Sandpaper, probably go 800, 1200 grit. Try to get my burred edge, but if it's really bad, you're going to have to start with a lesser grit and work your way up. So we'll see if this strop cleans this blade up, because I don't know if it will or not.
Yeah, you don't use a strop.
No, the reason I wipe it on half, then I'll come down here and this will clean that compound off the blade. And the way I'm doing it, you can go back, you can turn it over, or and you can see, I know where the angle is, but I'm pushing. So, and we'll see if it'll cut. I see the white lines are gone. And, nope, there it is, it's back. So that's a good sign that this one probably needs to go back to the stone, or I'm going to spend all day stropping it, and I'm just going to make it duller. The more you strop your knife, which would take, you know, I don't know, it could take a long time to strop unless you do it every 5 minutes. You're actually going to dull that blade eventually. So this one probably needs to go back to a stone, sandpaper, because that white line come back, or the burrs come back really fast on it. So the edge is not good on this blade. It needs re-edged. So that's a good sign. People have asked, when do I strop? When do I not strop? If your knife is sharp, you strop when it doesn't feel as sharp. But at that point, you know, maybe 2 or 3 back and forth, then go back to carving. Because it's a sharp knife, it's just slightly dull. like this one. You know, if I felt that it was just had to put more effort into cutting, I would just do it probably 3 times, and I'd come back in here, and there's no line, so that knife's good. This other knife, it needs to go back to sandpaper, which I would go to a belt sander. If you don't have a belt sander, then you want to go to a stone. If you want your knife to last, I wouldn't recommend buffing it all the time, or you're going to moon shape it in here. And then to get that back straight, you're going to take all that metal from here and your end. Moon shape means that it is starting to eat out in the middle, and that's a knife that's been over buffed. It means you just keep buffing it. Makes it real sharp, but over time, and then to straighten that back up, you're going to lose all that metal here and all that metal down here to make that straight again. These were the same blade at one time. This is a shop knife. I don't have time to strop and stone them, so I just go over and hit it with the buffer, and then I'll make it straight eventually. And that's what it'll start looking like in a short amount of time with power. That's why they tell you don't use power constantly on your knife blade. It won't last long. You got anything else, Dave?
No, nobody wants to hear what I got to say. No, just know that even though you're watching our video, not all knives are created equal. So when you're stropping, make sure you find the bevel of that particular knife that you're using. You know, the same process, regardless of what knife or tools you're using. This is just us trying to help wood carvers out that had a question of, how do I know when to strop, or how do I know when to take it to a stone? It's, you know, sometimes it'd be a personal preference, but the duller it gets and you're forcing it through wood, that's when you start breaking your tips and chipping your blades and all kinds of stuff.
Every blade can break, whether it's a Helvey, a flex cut, Drake. If it's dull, you're going to snap it.
Because you're forcing it through wood.
If you pick it in there and you do a lot of this, and get in there and start picking blades out of there, or picking your chips out, you're going to bend that tip or snap it off there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gouges are made for. Or professional wood carvers. They've done it a million times, and I bet they've broken a lot of tips.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we also did a video out there on how to fix your tip too, and that's also within our Facebook group here, videos.
See, this is that really dull knife, but if you come down here and cut down in here, it seems like it cuts fine. But we know it's dull because it won't hardly cut through here. And I really got a pull, and that's, it needs to go, this one needs to go back to a stone. Or like I said, sandpaper. You don't have to have a stone. I guess that's it.
That's it. Yep, I don't see any questions. We kind of just did this on the fly. We didn't announce it, so it'll be on here for people to watch later. So Elizabeth said thank you. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Hope it helped, or excuse me, Eliabeth. I hope that's how you pronounce it. So hopefully this is helpful to everybody. We're gonna get back to work. See ya.
It's out, folks.
Bye.